This segment of Naperville Sports Weekly is brought to you in part by the Naperville Sun.
Well, Benet Academy coach Bob Gros, we're here at practice today. Your first year here as the head man after being here quite a while as an assistant. What are the last 6 weeks or so been like for you, kind of experiencing being the head man of a program here?
Actually, not much has changed. Having been Henry's assistant, we really worked hand in hand, and having grown up together in soccer, he taught me a lot about the game, and so it's not really a big change. My duties have changed with things like this, and of course dealing more directly with a lot of different entities that you don't necessarily as an assistant. So right now my assistant, he is running the warm-up drills, and I'm doing this. So that would be the flip-flop.
And you talked about Henry, who had kind of really started this program and kind of built it up to what it has become, one of the better programs here in the area. What is he still checking in on the program from time to time? Well,
he's actually listed as an assistant coach. And Henry, of course, in his days at the university, he was a goalie. And so I asked him specifically, whatever time you have, please help train the goalies, because we lost Claire Munaretta, who was, she was, in my estimation, an all-state, quality goalie. And we have a freshman and a sophomore, and they have a lot of work that needs to be done. And so Henry, when he's been here, he's primarily worked with them, and he's really helped them tremendously. So yes, he's still integrally involved.
Last line of defense for you guys, a couple of youngsters, as you just mentioned there. How much does it help them that you bring back 3 out of the 4 starters of a very strong back line for you guys on a very veteran team?
It's a huge help. However, there is a combination that occurs between goalie and back line, and so it's taken some time to get to that point of confidence, and so they're working much better together now. I think if you had looked at us earlier in the season, you could see a little bit of shakiness because of the lack of communication. And so we really have emphasized that. We've even changed up our style of play a little bit to accommodate that. And I'm very pleased with both of the young goalies. Emma Lavin, the freshman, just had an outstanding game against New Trier. I would say that she was every bit a varsity goalie in that game. They're a wonderful team, and she had to make some good saves, and she had to communicate and work with that back line.
Youth, something that's almost sort of rare for you guys this year. 16 seniors on the roster. What's it like having a group that's so experienced at the varsity level?
It's a real treat in one way. I've known these girls for a long time. Many of them came to camp when they were in 7th and 8th grade that Henry and I have here in the summertime. And so I've known them. A lot of them I've known their families, because they're siblings that played boys or girls. And so it's just wonderful to have them. But it's a challenge, because as you know, seniors are very preoccupied with a lot of other activities, especially beginning now.
Definitely.
With their own graduation, college choices this week are wrapping up, baccalaureates, you name it, prom, big things. So, in that sense, there's a little bit of extra work because you have so many seniors.
We've kind of talked about the back line, a veteran midfield group for you. When we saw you guys' season opener this year against Hinsdale South, one of the things you said that kind of struck me was really the strength of this team is the midfield. What exactly, those are very important positions on the field. They kind of bridge the defense to the offense. What is it about your midfielder group that kind of makes them so strong?
Well, I think number one is Jamie Borges. Jamie is a wonderful and very highly skilled player. She is very adept at handling the ball. She is very clever at using her body to move defenders. She sets things up in such a wonderful way, and as she plays with us, she really runs our offense. She's a very solid communicator. She does have the ability to score, although she's not a big-time flashy goal scorer. I think she's got like 7 goals this year. But it's her ability to really set that offense up and to communicate the needs. And as far as the outside mids, and we have changed as the year has gone on, we're playing more of a 4-4-2 right now. And I have 4 really solid, capable outside mids. And as you know, that takes a tremendous amount of endurance and speed. And all 4 of them have that package. But because I can play all 4, I don't get stuck with worn out outside mids at the end of the game, and it makes a huge difference. And then lastly, defensive mid, Katie Lieber has just been outstanding, you know, in distributing the ball, playing just a great game against, and again, referring to New Trier, they had a really strong, good center mid, and Katie, you know, just stayed with her and did a great job. Same thing at Wheaton Academy. You know, Katie just shut down their best player. You know, so I mean, all the way around, we're very deep, and we have some extremely skilled players. So I think the midfield at times can really be our strength.
And that New Trier game, a part of the Naperville Invite, you know, a very prestigious tournament that you guys have been a part of here for a little while. What exactly does that tournament, with so many good teams and, you know, so many different sites, it gives you guys a couple different looks over 2 separate weeks. How does that prepare you guys for the postseason here coming up?
I think it's critical. I think if you take a look at, you know, we're going through seeding coming up tomorrow. And if you take a look at different schools' schedules, some people have the philosophy of, I want to put the wins up. I want the W's. And they select, you know, schedules, or they develop schedules that you're not always playing top competition. You're not challenging yourself or your players. And, you know, it looks good on paper, but the way to get better, and hopefully you would agree with me, is go out and play the best. And a tournament like this gives you the opportunity to play, even if you go on the consolation side, the teams are all very strong. Definitely. And so you're challenged, and you're challenged for the full 80 minutes. And that's how to improve a team. And good old Henry again, and I have always shared that philosophy. And, you know, and we've worked together through the years to always make our scheduling, you know, choices, you know, leaning towards the side of, well, let's pick up a more difficult team.
East Suburban Catholic Conference play, you guys are sitting at 3-1 right now. How much does that kind of go into it as well? A lot of different good teams and a lot of programs that have won that conference here over the past 5-6 years, you guys included.
Conference play is different than everything else. I don't know what there is about it, especially the East Suburban Catholic. They're always gritty games, tough games. You know, they're hard-fought games, and it's a hard thing to, you know, put a real label on. It's just a different duck, and I think that too helps us in preparation for the future to have such a tough conference, because even teams that may be average teams, they'll come out and they're trying to knock your head off. They'll play as hard as they possibly can, and that's what you want to do, you know, repeatedly, and it's a good solid conference.
Now, we've talked about the big group of seniors on this squad this year. One of them, you know, sort of a newcomer, Catherine Caniglia, back after focusing on just club last year. What does she kind of bring to the table? What has she kind of brought to this offense over the course of the season so far?
Catherine is a very determined individual. She's got a great resume. She was, and I can't remember the name of her club team, but she, you know, her club team won the Nationals last year, and that's why, you know, she took last year off at Benet Academy because the club wanted to focus on that goal, and boy, they went out and did it. And you know, Catherine is a very strong player. She was a regular player for them, and you know, folding her into our team is a little bit different for her. I talked to her about it a couple of weeks ago. She had an injury, and she actually missed a good week and a half or so early on, which kind of set her back a little bit. But as she's been coming back into the fold, Catherine is used to a super high level of players that she's putting balls to, and she's learning as we're going, you know, how to relate better with players that don't quite have that, you know, way above average ability at every position, and so everything, possession, attacking goal, defending, her runs, her movement, everything has to change accordingly. And I think she's doing a great job of that. She's becoming more and more a force for us on the field.
That offensive attack is, you know, put up 6+ goals 3 different times this year. You guys have pretty adept at putting the ball in the net. What exactly are your guys' offensive philosophies as far as, you know, looking at what you see on the other side and attacking?
We really stress attacking and going to goal, being aggressive, all right? However, before we can accomplish that, we have got to somehow move the defense. And so our whole philosophy revolves around, you know, the simple, you know, concept of movement and runs. And it's a simple, age-old, you know, proposition. But when we get that opportunity, we want to get into the penalty area. We want to take the shot. We want to be aggressive. We want to go to goal. You know, a lot of times players will get the ball, and they're in a relatively dangerous position, or maybe in a one-on-one, and where do they head? to the corner. We try to avoid that at all costs. We want to go to the goal and be aggressive. And we've worked harder on finishing techniques than anything else this year during our practice time. And it's starting to pay some dividends.
Now, you mentioned seeding a little bit later this week. Hard to believe we're almost to the postseason. It's coming up here in 2 or 3 weeks. You guys make the move to 2A this year due to enrollment and some multiplier things. What does that does that change your guys' play at all, or is it just, it seems like you're playing the same schedule, as you did in 3A. You're just probably going to see plenty of different teams in the postseason.
Yeah, exactly. There's only, I think Nazareth is the only team that we would, see again. Yeah, they're teams that I'm not familiar with for the most part. Teams that I've heard about, and I think Glenbard East might be in our sectional, and they played in the Spring Fest St. Francis tournament. But I saw them for 15 minutes, at an end of a game. So it'll be a little bit of an adventure. But soccer is soccer, and we need to, and we're working right now on how to put our defense together with our offense, because there are things that we do, where we back off to make our defense a little bit more comfortable. And then we're a little less effective and aggressive on offense. And then when we turn on the Super Jets on offense, and then the defense gets a little, and so that's where we're at right now. We still have 2.5 weeks to accomplish, really pinning that down and being very effective at having those two click together. And I think that's what's really important. And I don't particularly care who we play. I told Gerard, I said, well, who my assistant coach, bring them on. It's state tournament time. It's time to play. And to have accomplished, getting to that point where everything is working right.
For sure. Well, it seems like you got a lot on your plate. We'll let you get back to it.
Okay.
Thanks for letting us come by.
Thank you very much.